Look at us behind you.
Look at us. Look at us. There's us.
Nobody else matters in that photo, just us.
The middle guy's Chris, but actually that's how tall Judah's going to be when we film season 3.
So is it fair to say that this show is a lot of fun to make?
Oh
yeah. Okay.
We have a blast.
Yeah.
Especially with each other. Thank God we like each other. Could you imagine, Alice, if this was like Dirty Dancing? You know that.
Oh my God. We are fated to play best friends on a show for sure. I have so much respect for Sara. We talk about it all the time. She is it's literally like working with Julia Roberts. If Julia Roberts was like an awesome, super feminist, like unbelievably empathetic leader. I mean, just shaman. Did I say shaman? And she like got crystals and shit. Knows which crystals to like sit on and wear. I think is how you do it. Yeah.
Sit on. That's very Everything Everywhere All at Once. Go see it. I agree. Alice and I love talking about each other and our love affair and our friendship and how fun it is to work together. But I think the thing that surprises us every time is how much we elevate one another and the synergy we bring and how we're like salt and pepper, we're like, we just go together. We're two peas in a pod. I can't have Resident Alien without her. It just doesn't work. Like there's no Asta without Darcy. So
there's no Darcy without Asta for sure. And I think that Sara and I, like, it's we always try to put this into words in interviews, but who we are as friends is we have that similar yin yang as Darcy and Asta, because and oftentimes like people who are playing opposing characters have off screen might have some actual tension because those two people have whatever, like their personalities actually are oil and water. But Sara and I we're
like incredibly water different and a bathing suit,
Yeah, we have these incredibly different personalities, like, but we complement each other so well. Like Sara is an incredible balm to my like very fiery personality, but she has her own spice and her own fire, that I kind of am there to, like, I'm hype man, like I'm like in the back, and like it's just it really works.
We hype each other up and we soften each other and we calm each other down, and it's like a little dance. Anyways, was that the question?
Was there a question? Did he
was there a question? Is there a question?
It was fun. It's fun to work on the show.
Yes.
We were like, I got that.
Obviously, you guys get along both in the show and in real life. Or would you say that you're each different from your characters or more alike?
Yeah.
Yes and no. I think there's things that I'm very much alike. Asta and I are synergetic in how emotional we are and how defensive and how much we, put others sometimes more before ourselves, which can be, a blessing and a curse. And, but I mean, I don't wear jeans. I just don't. And I don't wear leather. And I really get confused when she wears those things, and I try not to judge her for them, but I'm like, I don't understand. But also, I mean, she's beautiful, and I'm so grateful to play this role. So.
Yeah. And I am also very, very charismatic. I'm very athletic. And I have had my struggles with substance abuse. So we'll leave it at that, because it's like pretty much that I don't want to talk about it. It's just like, that's really what it is. So yeah.
But also you're a fierce lover of your friends, and you stand up for your community, and you are the life of the party. Like outside of substance abuse, even though that is a key role in your character, you are always the light. You bring the fun, and that's true about Alice as well as it is Darcy.
Wow. Come on now.
Come on.
There's a lot of good comedy and drama on the show. How do you feel about the sci-fi elements, which only sometimes factor into your storylines? For Asta, obviously, a lot more recently.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll say I'm a huge sci-fi fan. I mean, I've been like, and so is Sarah. We have different sort of universes we inhabit, but I have a Star Trek podcast I've had for years, and I've been I've been a huge fan of all sorts of sci-fi. I knew Alan from Firefly first and foremost. I was into the Buffy universe, so that is all like, that's my background completely, is a sci-fi fan. So and I was on another show kind of similar to this, People of Earth, before this, that dealt with extraterrestrials, and I'm a pig in a trough of what's pig and shit? I think that's what it yeah, I think it's pig and shit.
You're so
And so I'm pumped about that.
I do want to just interject that People of Earth, I love People of Earth. I was so sad when season 3 was ordered and then just taken back. And I was going to say that I feel like these two shows really could exist in the same universe.
Yeah, and Michael Cassidy, who played a reptilian, is a character on this show. So we have that overlap too. And a lot of fans of of People of Earth are like, is he gonna be a reptilian? Because he was so good at that role.
You never know. There's still time. We haven't. He's still alive, and there's still time.
He's been accused.
We might find out.
Trust Linda.
Linda. I wasn't, to be honest. I grew up like everyone else watching Star Wars. I loved fantasy films like Labyrinth and Neverending Story. I was obsessed with that fantastical world, but I didn't really get into the sci-fi genre until the reboot of Battlestar Galactica. And I fell in love with the storytelling because it was the first time I had really watched something where it didn't matter what universe we were in. The story was just that good. And I feel like that is what we have with our show. And so for being a fan of that and being like a Starbuck fan, I feel like Asta's she's got some Starbuck vibe. And I'm very glad to be now so well-versed and introduced into such great storytelling in a lot of different sci-fi shows and movies. And Alice has taught me a lot about Star Trek, actually. So I'm very, very grateful.
Well,
it's funny because I wouldn't think I love Battlestar Galactica, but I feel like I was already like set to like Battlestar Galactica. I wouldn't usually think of it as this is my entry point to science fiction. I would think you're already so into science fiction, of course you would watch Battlestar Galactica. So it's interesting to hear that for you that was your entry point.
Yeah.
So you also have such a great cast. I'm sure it's a lot of fun to work with everybody. Is there aside from yourselves or each other, is there someone else that you would name as a particularly, maybe unexpectedly terrific scene partner?
I don't like anyone else. Do you?
I mean, like they're all right, but
cool,
everyone
but I haven't really
doesn't
gotten
really compare to like
really
a scene together.
I guess I just don't talk to the other people.
You know who I really love working with that I never really get to is Gracie, who plays
She's incredible.
Her and Max, her and Judah, who plays Max, are just so fun to witness working together. I love watching them talk to Harry. I do get to be a part of that a little bit. And it's so fun to watch Alan interact with them. And they are such really ahead of their time, fun, clever, talented actors. It's a joy to like be in a scene with someone who's so young and yet feels so mature, especially Gracie. Yeah.
I have to say, I love everybody who works in this show. There's nobody I have any, like, everybody shows up like crazy hard and they all bring so much. Like people leave it all on the field every time they come to work on this show. And so it's a great environment because of that. But like even Levi, like we like to say, who's like, I'm quitting acting after this, is incredibly dedicated to what he's doing. And I just gotta say, like, I really want more scenes with Corey. And I understand why they don't put Darcy and the sheriff in scenes together very often, because we both tend to go right off script real quick, and it would just absolutely unravel. But man, when we worked together, we had a quick scene that you see the beginning of when the new episodes will air. You'll see it's just the tiniest clippity clop of a scene that just like you could see just start to just completely, because we improvised and we had ADR over it, and it's just I want to work with him so much more, because
I don't get to work with him that much either. I'm like, what's that about? There's some sort of like they're keeping us apart. What the heck?
I'm talking to him next. I can ask him for you and see if there's what the story is.
Let's go. We need
he isn't one of us, in the sense that he is not like a grown-up impatience person. We have a lot of like, hey, oh, there's Greg from the the riverboat, whatever, like people we've known since we were children. And there's Alan, there's Harry, and there's Sheriff Mike. Those are the good two people really in the main group that came here from outside, you know what I mean? Like, and didn't grow up, with in patience. And so there is that, like, he keeps us at arm's length, I think, because of that, like, he's just like, I don't.
We in season 2 we actually talk about that with Kate, Ben's wife, and how we bring her into the fold. And Alice and I, we were talking with the girls, like we all have so much fun with our women episodes, but also just as a unit. That was a really fun episode, especially bringing her in, which I don't think that one has aired yet, so spoiler alert. No. But bringing her into the fold and then introducing her to the town we grew up in, and showing her how important it is that we're a unit and that we stay that way. So great to work with those women. They're all so strong and talented and beautiful.
Yeah, it's like incredible cast, and just so down to clown. I mean, when we film those episodes that are like very the 5 to 6 of us, like it's a sleepover. It's crazy. It was like negative 40 degrees or something.
In fact, I think we've asked for a sleepover episode, so like
I mean, and we work till, we shouldn't ask for that. It's like, just like, oh, you mean you want to work till 3 a.m.? Perfect. Okay, great.
Well, I get the sense that we could keep talking for a very long time, but I'll just end by saying that I met Meredith on the red carpet for the offer, and I said, I'm a really big fan of Resident Alien. Has everybody been asking you? And she said, no, you're the first one. And I said, why are people here not talking about Resident Alien? Even though we're here for a different show, we should all be doing Resident Alien.
Abe, she told us about you. She was like, there was a guy there. He was so kind, and he asked about the show. And so full circle, we're so grateful for you. We're so grateful for her and her success on on Paramount's The Offer. And it's just awesome that you're here now talking to us. It's like, you're one of us, Abe.
I'm so glad. I think we should do this again, but we should block off like 2 hours to have a much longer conversation.
Yes, absolutely.
We're chatties.
Let's do it at 1:30 a.m. start time. How about that? Just to get it really loosey-goosey.
And we'll be really saucy.
Saucy.
Sounds great. Thank you both so much. We'll talk again soon, I hope.
Thanks, Abe.
It's very exciting to meet both of you. I really enjoyed your work on this show. And I had seen both of you each in a very memorable role, which I think informs your character here a little bit, but in different ways. Corey, that was on The Closer, which is law enforcement, but is radically different. And
yeah, I think they're long lost cousins, perhaps.
There you go. And Elizabeth, I saw you on Upload as somebody who was similarly a true believer who always wanted to get to the bottom of things. I think it's a different kind of thing, I think, but what attracted you to Resident Alien?
Okay. Thanks, Corey. What attracted me was that I felt like I knew her. Like, she's the underdog. She sells herself short, and she literally wants to make a difference. And I just instantly loved and wanted so very much to be able to play this character and be part of this show.
What about you, Corey?
I've read the script, and I mean, I I had an instant voice of Mike in my head. I loved everything about him, his swagger, his bravado. At least that's how I interpreted him. When I went into the casting office, though, and I was, I could hear other actors reading the role, and they were all doing it very different than what I had in mind. So it made me wonder if I, maybe was misinterpreting, and reevaluating whether or not I should make the choices that I was planning to make. But I was committed to doing it the way that I kind of saw it. And I mean, and the pilot read so extremely well. The pilot unveiled Linda Hamilton's character that we didn't see in you remember that, Liz? They went down underground and all of that stuff. There was a whole bunch of stuff that was in there that didn't make it into the actual pilot. But Chris had written the pilot so extremely well, and the characters were so unique and had such unique, quirky voices. But at the same time, there was a tremendous amount of heart to the show as well. We see that kind of reflected here in season 2. I was just talking about in a previous interview about how, there's that scene where Ben is waving to Kate and Max as they're leaving, to go away to her mom's for the weekend. And he lets out this huge fart, you know what I mean? Which was hilarious to me. It wasn't in the script. I wasn't expecting. I thought it was funny. And I reached out to Chris and I texted him. I was like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck was that? And he's like, fart jokes are, they are, bottom of the barrel, but this one has a point. And it connected to something in the next episode where Ben kind of discloses to Darcy that he's not comfortable around Kate. He feels like he can't be himself. And, like being able to merge those kind of angles and perspectives, these multiple lenses that this show gets seen through, I think is what kind of really pulled me to it, is that it was funny, but you could feel something. The characters were well drawn, but there was room to expand. Harry, the alien, was a unique kind of fish out of water. Sometimes if you want to have longevity in this business, the sharpest tool in your toolbox needs to be your ability to recognize when a project has something unique about
heart.
it.
When it has heart.
It has heart. I agree. And this one had that. Yeah.
That's great to hear. Do you both enjoy science fiction, and do you like when that comes? Your storylines don't always involve that quite as much. I mean, Elizabeth, a little bit more for you, at least this season. But is that something that you like?
It's funny. I have to admit, before I became part of this show and before I did Upload, I think I always pictured science fiction to be something quite different. And I realized that there are so many different nuances within science fiction. So I'm not just saying this, I genuinely enjoy it now. But if you told me 10 years ago that I would have been super psyched to be part of a show that has some science fiction aspects to it, I would have been like, whatever.
Yeah,
Corey, what about you?
I'm a huge fan. I love sci-fi. I mean, I grew up with, watching, Star Wars and excuse me, all the superhero movies, The Matrix, that stuff has always kind of stirred my imagination and been really interesting to me. So I'm stoked to be on a science fiction show. It's cool also seeing, like all of the different things that take place between what we film and then what gets put through the process of editing and post, and what, like, moving to talking about season 2, we had the episode that took place in Harry's cabin, the birthday episode. And there was a lot of visual effects, that were used in that episode that we didn't see when we were filming, that we had to visualize but couldn't actually see, you know what I mean? So to then go from the perspective of like filming it and then seeing what happens in post and how all of that tied together and how real everything looked and felt, I don't know, science fiction's come a long way, you know, like Liz said, you know, it's not quite the guys in the silver outfits, you know, on the moon, you know, with their little ray guns anymore. It's a little it's a little more what's the word I'm looking for? Better than that. So,
A little more better.
it's a little more better.
Well, you
Yeah.
you mentioned the cabin birthday episode, but I was also thinking about the bunker episode where, I mean, basically it's all figured out and then all of a sudden it's not. Was that similarly challenging? Because I assume there are a lot of effects in that scene.
Yeah, you know, all of the static nature of shooting special effects scenes, you know, I find them to be kind of disruptive to the flow. You know what I mean? Because it's so specific, and some of the things that you do are not natural as far as how they feel, but they work for what they're going for, and you just kind of have to trust that you know, what they're getting what they need, you know what I mean? Because it may feel weird to you, like you feel like, really, I just so literally just stand here and point, and that's what you need me to do, and they're like, yeah, trust me, it's going to be great. And then you're standing there pointing, and then but then they get to post and they do all the stuff they do, and you're like, oh, I get it now that makes sense. I understand. I mean, it felt really weird at the time, but I get it.
Yeah.
Do you wish that they still knew the truth, or is it sort of more fun that it's going to be a constant sort of obstacle to be able to get there?
You wish who? Yeah, who's they?
Your characters.
Oh,
Oh,
well, we did have an idea.
well, know the truth about what? What's the know the
Who
truth
Harry
about
really is, whatever he was
who
able to.
Harry really is.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
I got off. Yeah,
Oh,
in the
No, that's
alien context.
Yes.
Or well, you know, we feel like we knew who he was in the sense of, in the context of the murder, and finding our suspect, and then he did the, you know, the alien little mind trick on us, but I think we're discovering you know, that some of those memories are powerful, and you know, it's difficult. I'm trying to think to myself. I have to pause in my head, Liz, and think like, where are we in the story?
I know.
What can I say and what I can't say, and I have to stop myself actually, because I can't say what I can say half of what I was going to say, but I can't say the other half, and without the other half,
yes,
the first half isn't going to make sense. So
yeah.
to
I
answer
literally jumped on Wikipedia this morning to remind myself
yeah,
how much we knew.
yes, but I do think we have at least your character is having some recollections of her experience.
Yeah, she's having some breakthrough
Harry,
memories.
but via as a child. So yeah, there is some breaking through there, not breaking through the illusion that Harry created for us.
Right.
Well, I don't want to push, but I'm plenty to look forward to in the back half of season 2, which is great.
Yeah.
So obviously you share a lot of scenes together, which is great. Is there anybody from the cast who you would love to be able to interact with more, but your characters just don't have the opportunity?
I know for me, I mean, I'm sure sometimes casts may say this and you're like, really? But we all genuinely love each other and love working together. So I really do enjoy all the scenes that I have with the entire cast. I do know that I would love to do some more stuff with Alan, because, well, I know it's not a secret, but he is so funny and he's so talented, and you're just like, even when you're in the scene, you're like, what's he gonna do next? What's happening? What's gonna go on?
You can get lost.
So I would love that.
Absolutely. I agree with Liz. Alan. I mean, I've started doing more stuff with the mayor. I think we're gonna have some adventures together. But yeah, Alan, scene work with Alan is just it's the stuff you would do for free. I mean, like it's hard to be off camera.
Don't say that, man.
She's like, don't say that. It's hard to be off camera with him when you're shooting his coverage, because he, he can flip things on you in a heartbeat, and it's just like a sneeze. I mean, you instinctively start laughing, or I sometimes get lost in what he's doing and forget that, oh, I have a line here. Sorry about that. Or you get caught in what he's doing physically while the voiceover's playing. You know what I mean? And it's just, it makes the scenes it makes every scene always unique and entertaining and fun.
Corey, what was the line that Alan had when it's in episode? I won't say the spoiler of it just in case someone hasn't seen that episode, but the episode's aired. When he's in the train compartment and Asta is asking him if he wants anything, and he screams ice cream sandwich.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Just something as simple as that was amazing.
Yeah. And we also have and that might have been an improv. We get a lot of room to kind of come up with our own stuff often. Liz and I in particular, we'll always get a couple passes at once we get a take of what's on the page, we always get a couple passes where we can try new things. There's
Corey and we have a joke that our scenes are 20 minutes longer than they need to be because we're doing so much improv, especially at the end. Yeah, go ahead.
We have this thing where we both want to have the last word in the scene. So our characters go back and forth and back and forth and back, and it's joy every time. And a lot of times they'll give us the leeway to do it. But it can add, like, what's wonderful about it is there's so much of it, you never know what they're going to use. I'll give you an example. Again, I was talking about in the other interview how when Harry is there to deliver the baby, and he's at the end and he says, blah blah blah, like and subscribe.
Subscribe.
You know what I mean? Because he learned to deliver the babies watching YouTube. You know what I mean? So he's in the middle of this, crazy moment, and he says that because that's part of the video, and we don't focus on it. If it were like a 3-camera sitcom, it would have been a setup punchline. You know what I mean? But with the style of our show, there's a lot of organic humor that flows, I think, from us, from the cast. I mean, the writing absolutely lays the groundwork and plants the seeds, and we provide the fertilizer, we provide the shit to
we
make
do
it grow, I guess. Yeah.
Well, it does seem like a lot of fun. I'll also just add that I spoke to Sarah and Alice before, and they said that they would like to have more scenes with you, Corey, but that they don't find that to happen too much. And Alice particularly said that the two of you wouldn't do well together because you would just be improvising the whole time and going way off the rails.
Well, and her characters beat me up.
Great. Thanks for telling me that, Abe.
I don't know if that was necessarily. She's gonna text me about that when we get off of here.
Go ahead, Corey.
No, I think they're great too. But Liz and I are two peas in a pod. She's my peanut butter for my chocolate. She is we're a Reese's Pieces. We are,
baby.
we are. She's the best.
He's the best.
Well, I really enjoyed speaking with both of you. I think now watching those new episodes, it'll be an added bonus just to see that you obviously have so much fun together and to remember all this laughter. So thank you both so much.
Of
And I look
course.
forward to speaking again in the future.
Be
Thanks,
well.
Abe.
Thanks, Abe.
Yeah,
Take care.